Well, hello viewers and welcome back to the channel. And today, exciting news because Cannondale have launched a brand new Synapse endurance road bike. And today in this video, I'll give you a first look at all the details and changes on this new bike. And this really is a big deal because for about 15 years, the Synapse was a very popular endurance road bike, one of the most popular in this category, in fact, and probably a massive seller for the company. It was a bike back in the day developed for the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix with the likes of Peter Sagan and other top level riders, and very much a case of a win on Sunday and sell on Monday. And a bike I loved a lot. I rode one for 2 years, an absolutely fantastic road bike. But back in 2022, they launched a brand new version of the bike, ground up redesign, and it was a massive flop. It was a disaster. The fundamental bike design was okay and actually rode really well, but it was a SmartSense. There's packaging of a battery on the frame, the radar on the back, and a front and rear light system that wasn't optional. It was forced on people. That was a step too far, an innovation too far for the company. And after that launch, the bike went from top of the list of best-in-class bikes to off the bottom of the list somewhere. And a bike I no longer recommended, and a bike that people stopped talking about and pretty much forgot about. And endurance bikes in the last few years have moved at a pace into a really exciting place with the likes of the Specialized Roubaix, the Giant Defy, the MV Frey, the Trek Demani, and this sort of all-road category with the likes of a Bridge Surveyor and a 51 Seeker, with space of wide tyres and more comfort and also lots of speed as well for the people who ride bikes for speed but also want comfort and versatility as well, but don't want a full-on gravel bike. So yeah, definitely not a good move by Cannondale, and it upset and annoyed a lot of people and effectively destroyed the legacy of their bike. So today, Cannondale have launched a brand new bike, which I'm sure they hope can reverse that decline of the popularity of their bike. And there's no real admission of that bike being a failure in terms of SmartSense being an overstepping of too much innovation and taking away that choice for consumers. They've glossed over it and in fact doubled down on SmartSense because SmartSense remained on the new bike, SmartSense 2.0, but thankfully on the new bike, SmartSense is now optional. It's not being forced onto consumers who don't want this system. And the bikes that do have SmartSense on it, it's now much better integrated and way better executed. In fact, in a way, it should have been on the first bike. So let's talk about SmartSense in a moment. Let's put it to one side and talk about the bike itself first. Now, as you can tell, I haven't seen the bike in the flesh. I haven't had the chance to ride a bike, so I'm in my studio talking about the bike from the presentation and the press release and showing some photos I have. I would definitely have preferred to have ridden the bike and given you a first ride experience of the new bike and how it compares to other bikes in the category of which I've ridden all their bikes and really get a better understanding of SmartSense firsthand, but they've not made that available to me. So this is the best I can do. Hopefully I can ride a bike in the future, but I've no idea. They have not given me any confirmation if that's possible yet. Anyway, the new bike does look really cool, and it looks very similar to the old model, and very similar to the Super 6 Evo. Not the old one behind me, but the new 3rd gen and now 4th gen version. And that's the family similarity, the family silhouette design going on, and a shared sort of aero inspiration on the new bike. And it's fair to say this is now what you might call an aero endurance road bike. It has space for up to 42mm wide tyres, which is more than most endurance bikes, which are 38 to 40. But measure size or clearance is 48. So you could go wider than a 42 if you sacrifice clearance. And that definitely moves it into the sort of all-road, the light gravel. I can see people using this for dirt racing, dirt riding, like the Belgian waffle ride, for example. Maybe not hardcore gravel riding, and they have the top stone and the super cross for that, but definitely gives you more choice, gives the consumer more choice, which is a cool thing to have a 34 road tyre or maybe a 40mm Pirelli slick or even a 38 40mm gravel tyre like a G1 RS, for example. So yeah, really big tyre clearance, definitely a step in the right direction, and definitely, I think, a class leading in that regard. I can't think of another endurance bike that has more than 40s. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I really appreciate that from Cannondale. It's also aerodynamic as well. So they say, I asked them in the presentation how aero is and how it compares to the Super 6 Evo. And they say it's not as aero optimized as the current Super 6 Evo, but it is as aero as the previous 3rd generation Super 6 Evo, which they still reckon is a very aero bike. And you see that in the frame profiles, all the details around the frame. And that aero claim is for the top level model with the same one-piece handlebar, a stem as you get on the Super 6 Evo, and deep section wheels. So yeah, an aero optimized endurance road bike. But comfort hasn't been compromised because that's a big feature of the Synapse, both from big tyres, bigger than a race bike, and also the way they design the frame, the rear stays, the D-shaped seat post, and all the other features that Cannondale have been good at in the past with a Synapse to give a bike that delivers a really smooth ride and filters out all the nasty stuff from riding over rough roads. And they claim it's 20% more compliant than the old bike, which sounds good on paper, but the proof is in the pudding, or something like that. So bigger tyre clearance, it's more aero, more compliant, and it's also lightweight, and there's a return of a high mod version as well. So the top level Synapse 1 and the Lab 71 top level bikes get the high mod frame, which has a sub 1,000 gram weight for a painted 56 centimeter frame, which is part of the course these days, while the regular non-high mod frame get a frame that's about 100 to 150 grams heavier than that. Other key details, there's internal frame storage on a down tube, which is increasingly common on road bikes, both for where the battery for SmartSense goes, more on that in a moment, and also a stash bag for tools, spare tubes and CO2 canisters and stuff, and a full internal routing across the board with the same delta triangular shaped steering tube as on the Super 6 Evo. And the frame has a UDH dropout for future-proofed against any new groups that are coming out. And like on the old version, a 68mm threaded bottom bracket. Press fit is dead across the Cannondale range. So SmartSense, let's talk about the new SmartSense 2.0. And let me know your thoughts on this as I go through the video. I'm only giving you my thoughts on the bike based on the presentation and the press release. Until I actually use SmartSense out in the real world, I can't really assess it properly. So I'm open-minded to it, as I was with the old bike. But yeah, lots of questions to be answered for sure. So, like before, there's a single battery, which is now internal in the frame rather than being external, and has twice the runtime of the old battery, so a bigger battery. It's USB-C chargeable and can be removed for charging, and has a flashlight on it as well to, when you open up the stash port on a down tube, it lights up the down tube, which is kind of cool, like a glove compartment on a car, and can also be used externally from the bike when you remove it at the campsite for a flashlight, and can charge a smartphone as well. So lights and radar continue as before, with the radar and rear lights as one unit. It's a Garmin Varia unit, and that connects or mounts underneath the saddle on the seat post. And then up front, we have a new, more powerful front light, up to 800 watts in certain markets. And runtime is up to 24 hours in flashing daytime mode. But put that front light into high beam mode, as you might do riding at night or commuting, and that runtime drops to just 2.5 hours, which isn't amazing. I know you can get powerful lights, more powerful lights that have a longer runtime than that. So that's a bit of a limitation. But again, until I actually ride the bike and test it, I remain kind of open-minded to how it actually works. But initially, it doesn't sound amazing so far. But an improvement, but is it an improvement enough? And that battery can now power both the front and rear light and radar, and also the SRAM axis batteries. So you're replacing potentially 4 or 5 batteries on a bike with one battery. And that's kind of appealing because bikes are more electronic and more gizmos to charge these days. You've got your derailleurs, you've got your Garmin, Wahoo, you've got your lights, your radar, and your power meter pedals, a lot of things to charge on a bike. So removing the need to charge 4 or 5 batteries with one battery, yeah, that sounds pretty cool to me. And that main battery apparently has 20 times the capacity of a SRAM axis battery. So it reckons 5% battery on a SmartSense battery is equivalent to a fully charged axis battery. But what happens when that main battery is low? Well, in low power mode, when that battery is down to low power, the system will automatically turn off the lights and radar to keep your shifting going, which great if it's daytime, but if you're riding in the night and your lights go out to keep your shifting going, that doesn't sound amazing. But yeah, I have to test it first. That's probably an extreme use case where that happens. I'd imagine for most people riding, sort of regular riding during the week, the chance of everything going flat is pretty rare. And if Lachlan Morton can ride around Australia, then it maybe isn't as bad an issue as it potentially does sound. And part of SmartSense is the Cannondale app, which the company has been pushing for quite a few years now. They have a sensor mounted to the front hub, providing kind of speed, distance, location data into that app. It's optional, don't have to use it at all. You can just plug in your Wahoo, Garmin, or your smartphone and off you go. But they are still pushing this smartphone app with a sensor on the front hub. But I just don't see whether there's enough appetite for yet another app, another thing to check on your smartphone before you go for a ride. So that remains to be seen, whether that's something is really worth them pushing still, or whether you think it's still a cool feature. I don't know. So do we need more apps in life? No, definitely not. So yes, that is the new SmartSense. Prices, I'll put prices down below, but range from €3,500 or $3,600 up to €16,000 or $16,500 for the top level model. So yeah, very expensive and top end trim, but a nice kind of depth in a range of choices. So yeah, prices for most budgets, it seems down to $3,500 at least. So really interesting new bike, some cool details. I like the aero frame design. I like the big tyre clearance. We've got fender mounts and down tube storage. Yeah, it looks a really cool bike, and hopefully it rides as well as it looks. And the old bike did ride really well. And the SmartSense, they clearly haven't scrapped it. They've in fact doubled down on it, but have addressed some of the criticism of the old system in terms of it being now optional and now much better executed on the bike. But whether it's well executed enough for you people watching and ultimately buying this bike remains to be seen. I haven't ridden the bike yet, so I can't talk about how it rides and how it performs and how SmartSense actually works in the real world. Hopefully soon I'll get a chance. But ultimately down to consumer sentiment and what you think about this technology, and whether with the improvements and the updates it's now a system you would buy. Would you buy the bike with SmartSense? Would you buy the Synapse without SmartSense and maybe upgrade it at a later date? So yeah, really it raises as many questions as it answers this bike. So I like the general theme of the bike, the tyre clearance, the aero, the comfort, and SmartSense. Yeah, I'm still not sure yet, but open-minded. So hopefully I ride one very soon. But there we go. A quick first look at a brand new Cannondale Synapse, available now. First ride, hopefully coming soon. But let me know your thoughts on the new bike. And did you buy the old bike? Are you happy with the bike? And what are your thoughts on the bike generally? Love to hear from you as always. And if you want to see a video of the best endurance bikes available right now, make sure to hit that video right here. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the button right here. But that is all for today. I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.